Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on Real Talk with Keith Smith. It's an absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille Network on a show that is presented by Yes Realty Partners. Yes Realty Partners is a brokerage co-owned by Keith and Yonna Smith. They have proudly served our community for almost 40 years. Wow. Since 1987, Keith and Yonna Smith have been working in real estate. My family, the Millers, have personally done multiple transactions with Keith and Yonna Smith as our representation. And I'll tell you what, we have been and continue to be super pleased with them. Their guidance, their counseling, and their consultation. Keith and Yonna Smith and Yes Realty Partners, trustworthy and communicative. Today's program is going to be fun. Neil Williamson is here. Jesse Rutherford is here. If there's people that you want to belly up to a bar, whether it's the Barrel House in Nelson County, whether it's is Wild Man Dan in Green?
No, he's in Nelson.
He's in Nelson. Right. What is a watering hole in Green?
Yeah. There are several. There's actually Octonia Stone just opened up a new tap room off of 231.
Okay. If you want to belly up to one of those, it would be with Neil and Jesse and Keith by your side. I sincerely mean that. It's fun. And I think you, the viewer and listener, will see that dynamic firsthand. Mm-hmm. Judah's behind the camera. He's the Elmer's glue of this team. We don't get to victory lane without Judah Wickower. I sincerely mean that.
I don't think we get off the start line.
We don't get off. Yeah, you're right. Out of the gates, Keith. You're right. Studio camera, then 4-shot as we welcome Jesse Rutherford, Neil Williamson, and Sally Jesse Raphael to the program this Friday morning. Keith Smith, good to see you, my friend. I love you. I kid because I care.
I don't know who he is.
I kid because I care. I think we should.
Can somebody explain who that person is? Would be very helpful.
Neil Williamson could start. Sally Jesse Raphael.
I think he's Googling.
He's Googling it.
I think there's a certain. I think this is specifically set up this way that there's a certain age group on one corner. Are you officially a boomer?
No, I'm not. But
you're a Gen X?
Sally Jesse Raphael was a talk show host that came out of the Chicagoland area.
100%.
In the late 70s, early 80s, and was rather big on the Metro Media, which was that was actually a somewhat below first tier network before we had all of these networks, including the I Love CVille Network. But
is there any other?
I Love CVille's network's own.
I hope there is. I'm paying enough for it.
All things
right here.
Yeah,
there better not be.
I love Neil so much. Sally Jesse Raphael was quite popular at one time and was nationally syndicated at one time. I grew up watching Sally Jesse Raphael, not because I wanted to, by the way, but because it was constantly on because of where I was raised.
I'm sure at that point there was 2 channels on the television.
There was more than that. This wasn't the 50s
television?
and 60s. You know. Yeah, Jesse.
We're in Nelson County, man. It was tough to get a satellite set up for you in between mountains.
So the second thing that everybody needs to know, other than I broke both pair of eyeglasses, so these are my backup. Thank you for the reference.
I actually like them.
Thank you.
I sincerely mean that. It's beautiful.
Well, you are so far the only one. Everybody in my family thinks they're the dumbest thing ever. But anyway, the second thing is both my hearing aids are in the VA shop, so I can't hear a darn word anybody's saying. So I'm reading lips. So as I said in the warm up, have fun, fellas, at my expense. But anyway, is anybody speaking? No, okay. I think what we need to do is we'll do like you got.
We're gonna raise our hand. I mean, I do appreciate the hearing impaired sticker there, so you know. The hearing impaired sticker on the back of your computer, so it's a good reminder.
He's got
of
one
your
on his
situation.
backpack too.
Does he really?
Yeah, on his backpack, a tag.
I got one on my backpack, and I've got one on the back of my jersey when I do cycling. So when people pass me, because I can't hear them, and if you all of a sudden got somebody zipping past you, you make a left and crash at 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour.
You break your eyeglasses.
Ray Cadell, to Neil Williamson's point, Metro Media founder and chairman was
Kluge.
John Kluge, by the way. Ray Cadell puts in the feed.
Local, John Kluge.
That's right. And he says, a long time ago, I'm the guy that put Twin Lakes together as well. Ooh. Ray Cadell.
Ray did a number of projects in Greene County.
Yeah, that's right. Ray Cadell, local icon.
Local icon and a national rock star, but he's not. He plays jazz, but jazz star. Judah, I sent you. I sent you an email. I forgot to send you the 2 slides from this morning. So there's a slide 1 and 2 that is sitting in your email. So my apologies for getting that to you late. So today is going to be fun. As Jerry teed it up, we've got the good old Jesse Rutherford from Nelson County. And whatever we're going to talk about that's problematic, it's his fault.
Probably, more than likely.
But Nelson County has fiber.
We do have the best internet in
the best
region.
internet out there. I
So,
wanted to give them.
Best beverages, best view shed. I mean, really, the quality of life in Nelson.
Isaiah Knight's
and the
giving him
best
props.
government-owned land.
It does have some government-owned land with really high ambitions.
Now, if we can just get the Lovington Streetscape project
Hey,
going.
that is underway, and proud to
I
announce
was trying
that
to introduce you, Neil, but it just quite didn't go.
USDA has given
really
us more
trying to
money for our sewer. So.
Can I do that now? Am I allowed?
Yes, go
Oh, sorry, I raised my hand.
Sorry.
I raised my hand.
You guys are so lucky this is a family-friendly show.
We love you. We love you.
Because what I'm thinking about is not very family-friendly. So we have our dear friend Neil Williamson from the Free Enterprise Forum sitting to my right. And I'll say this publicly and out there, if it wasn't for you showing up for every meeting, I'm not so sure this community would have an in-depth understanding of what's happening in all jurisdictions. So I know you. How many years you've been doing it?
23 years.
Yeah. So that's a lot.
Woody Fincham's calling him Professor Williamson, the myth and the legend. Wow.
Thanks, Woody.
Legendary.
Well, we can go down that road if you want. So anyway, I really didn't have too much covered today. I really want to talk a little bit about new construction in Greene and Nelson County. But are you good to go? Okay, good. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to kind of do a quick kickoff on the market and then see where the conversation kind of goes from there. Those who've been watching the show for a while, we have a market monitor in our Paragon and our MLS. I've been literally every Friday morning for 8.5 years take a picture of it. It's usually a 7-day snapshot. I can set it to whatever I want. I just did it this time looking at the 28 days going back. This 28 days from today going backwards and the same 28-day scenario in 2025. And Jerry and I have been talking about this for a while, and you're in the business, right? You're in the business from a periphery perspective. You're in the trenches on it. Though prices are a little off, the tempo is up year over year, and it's just just trying to figure out how that correlates between what's going on in the market, what's happening in Greene, and what's happening in Nelson. I just would like to kick off the conversation there. And if Judah has an opportunity, great, thank you. So slide number 1, it's just a side-by-side. And when I talk about tempo, I'm talking about new listings that have come on in that time period, both 25 versus 26. So we're up actually 12% in new listings. We're also up about 13% in pending. So what that's telling us is we're coming in, we're going off. We're coming in, we're going off. I really expected that number, 2026 number, to be less than 2025.
Oh, I agree.
But it didn't. Closed sales are up about 10%. Price changes are up 30%. I think we can take a dive into that on why a little bit later. And back on the market's got a little bit of a drop on 14%, and expired listings are around 4% down. But we've been talking for the last couple weeks about, location, features, condition, and price, and it used to always be location and price. Now you got prices now after features and conditions. So Jesse, you're in the business.
Oh yeah.
You're a elected official, vice chair. What do you think?
Yeah, when I think from a housing standpoint, it's been really interesting, at least seeing in the Nelson County market, what's been moving and what the custom home builders are building. So I think one thing that is definitely still a reflection is specific high-end product with high features in it we're seeing that move.
And when we get ready to talk about the new construction market in your county, that's only what's in the MLS.
Sure, you're right.
customs generally don't end up there.
No, they do not. No, but I was just saying, just from an appetite
No,
standpoint.
no.
I was going to say, yeah, the new construction, I think I equal all of these, all four.
Well, we'll let.
But
Well, tell them what that means. The units that have sold that are new construction in Nelson County were all built by Jesse Rutherford.
That showed
at
up
least
in
that show up
MLS.
in car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
showed up in the MLS.
Yeah, that
showed
show up on
in
car.
MLS. So if you don't mind bouncing slide 2 on what he's referring to
Yeah.
is what I did is a side-by-side analysis between Greene and Nelson County,
Yeah.
and there's 3 that sold year to date, and they are all yours.
Those would all probably be mine, yeah.
That wasn't staged intentionally. It just happened to be that
Basically,
way.
Jesse's got his own little.
But I think
trademark now.
it paints the picture that it is your fault.
It is, yes, correct. That category right there, up 50%. I did that.
That's one unit.
That's one unit is up 50%.
Percentage-wise, it's huge.
Hey, listen, let me tell you guys.
It's a lot like all the stoplights are out in Nelson County.
So
But there's one.
But to your point on the pending and active, I mean, we've definitely seen some level of a dip, and I've talked to Neil about this briefly about what that might mean from a global scale of like what we're seeing as a region. But, I think kind of some of the activity in Greene has some play for that median number and less, if that makes sense, who the buyers are.
Well, I know you don't do this every day. This is not your sales world, but you're in it every day. So do you think that the spike, because we're up quite a bit in Greene County, up roughly 18% in units, do you think that's impacting the overall market?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And why?
And I think the reason for that is that not only in the sales, but other markets and people moving here, there is a new player in town, which is the lease market, build to lease. If you look at Green Terrace, all of those products, as you're headed north on 29, they're on your right as you cross over into the Greene County line, are built to lease. Now, they're all on independent parcels, so they could be simple sales, but right now they're leasing. That's highly attractive to someone who's coming here for a 2-year stint at DIA, and that creates interesting competition for the balance of the market, which doesn't have that option.
There's also he's 100% right. There's also 600 or so units that are built to lease that have come to market or are coming to market at Spring Valley, right off of the bypass with out-of-market developer Graystar. And build to lease is happening everywhere. And I'm telling you what, it's impacting multifamily rents.
I believe that.
The rents are maybe stabilizing is
Yeah.
the positive term
Yeah.
to describe what's
I agree
happening.
with that.
And this is not, by no means, this is a market reaction to the conditions in the market. And I think it is a stabilizing factor. Whether it's build to lease, build to own, more housing for everyone, everywhere is a solution to our housing crisis.
Yeah.
So I misspoke. You're up 40% new construction. That 18%. Overall sales, you're up 18%.
And who's doing most of that building?
Well, there's several.
Yeah.
Lennar, however you want to pronounce it's out there. Stanley's out there. Ryan is out there. Southern Development is out there. The folks that are doing it at Four Seasons, refresh my memory, help me out here. I can't think of it the name, but there's another Northern Virginia in there. But it's usually those type of.
Cahovinian?
Thank you. Go ahead and doing that. But I do just want to push back a little bit on the multifamily.
Okay.
Yes, these projects are now hitting the market. But when did they start?
Right.
That's a good question.
Right? And if you think that market's going to continue, I think you would be mistaken. I do not think you're going to see a lot of multifamily projects be processed in there. But the one that you're referring to in Greene County, I know, my God, it's got to be 6 years, 5 years in the making before it got built, or am I wrong on that?
That actually came forward with the Freed companies in 2005.
Oh, wow.
I was actually there when that happened.
Really?
And then we, of course, had the time of great unpleasantness
Yep.
and some other issues. Mr. Freed passed, and that project laid fallow for a long time and was the Moonscape. And then there were a few things that had to happen that happened to make that, again, viable, including the market picking back up. With that being said, I think it's important to recognize that I think you may see some more this week at the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. They approved a rezoning for an increase of units at what was formerly known as Cavalier Crossing. They're adding, I think it's 125 new units there, and doing it all on infill where they had too much parking. So rather than growing out to green, you're going to have 125 2- and 3-bedroom units in the development area of Albemarle County, and that again is multifamily. But that's a project that's been moving forward since the acquisition. Now, I did have a conversation with someone in the business that said there have been so many people kicking the tires around Cavalier Crossing over the years that it's amazing how many had talked to this particular banker about how it could work and the pro formas that needed to make it happen. In this case, it was an out-of-town Bonaventure that has poured a fair amount of money into that,
Cash.
refurbishing it, and changing the model from four independent bedrooms that you could rent by the bedroom,
400 or 500 a month.
right, and then two- and 3-bedroom apartments.
That's right. That's right. They're taking the parking lot and they're adding multifamily. This is down 5th Street Extended. Bonaventure, Northern Virginia REIT made this purchase. And this is going to have a significant impact on the market. I mean, there's a boatload of multifamily that's coming to market right now.
Correct. But those have been, I understand what you were saying, Neil, but that's an existing project where we are amending an existing site plan and amending an existing zoning. That is way easier to do than starting from scratch. So my comment was more from a scratch perspective. Of course, I'm more of an ownership thing. I think folks should own to build equity and appreciation and generational wealth. But Jerry isn't wrong. There are a bunch of multifamilies
Thousands
that are going to hit the market in that. But that's not really, I don't think, is not really going to change the ownership model. It will a little bit. People will move into it. It'll be more of a stopgap for a couple of years, right? Decide if they're going to stay here or not, right? If they're going to stay here, then they're more than likely going to have children, and then they're going to be.
We see this happen all the time. People come in, stay at the university for a couple of years, and then they don't leave. Then they buy houses and have kids and build swimming pools. I mean, it's crazy.
I can only be responsible of the buying of the houses. The kids part, I am not responsible.
You're not responsible.
I am not
He's
responsible.
singing me over here.
I know that. I'm not responsible. I'm not responsible. I went to school, went to New York. I'm done. I'm coming back. This is just a huge market. But, kind of back to the question, Jesse, of, okay, we got a 40% jump in units in new construction in green. I consider what has happened is new construction a 2.7 difference between 427 in sales and 415. It's kind of stabilized the existing and the thing. And this is an argument that the pro-housing folks have been putting out for a while, that if you increase new construction, it could potentially stabilize it across the board. Right, wrong? What do you think about that?
I mean, generally in most supply and demand scenarios, I do believe that, you build it, you do help stabilize, the demands around an area, and especially in the housing context, green doing what they're doing softenings the impacts in other localities, if whether Green wants to hear that message or not. But the reality is, if you go and you build, 400 or 500 homes, which I think in that area, how many houses are getting built just in that setup?
Well, over at Creekside, they have about an additional 600 to build there. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, that is basically, I think Nelson County has 8,000 homes in total. I mean, if you add 1,000 homes to the mix, well, people who are coming from the outside context to Charlottesville who don't really have a cultural connection, maybe to me, or a familial connection to the surrounding counties, they'd be like, ooh, specific house, suburban setup, this is familiar, I'm going to buy it. And I think And from my perspective, as those areas have started addressing housing in those regards, you're seeing that alleviating some of the major pressures on, but only on specific housing products so far. Because we still see in the Nelson County context, I mean, median sold house is $500,000. I mean, wasn't it a year ago? It was at
Remember when I gave the presentation to your board?
I remember.
It was 409.
400. Now we're at $500,000.
And now you're at $500,000. It was only a few years ago.
Yep.
And I remember it was Ned Galloway and I did this road show, and I remember the looks on your fellow board members' faces that they didn't believe that number.
Yeah.
But you
And
know,
that's a real number, and I think we're seeing that number that we're talking about satisfying a specific buyer. But in the Nelson County context, it's leaving that, higher end, looking for more acreage and a view shed and access to breweries, wineries, and rivers right there and open. So in our area, that middle buyer, like obviously 500 to me, it's crazy to think that's the middle. But let's say 40% of that, those folks are in, it's tough for them. And when you kind of think about...
But why is that in your marketplace, right?
We have the topography issue, we have a land act, we have infrastructure.
But who's the buyer profile out there?
The buyer profile in our area is largely retirees who have come from a generation deep into the 1900s.
Boomers who are capable of wearing red
glasses. May have some hearing aids, in the VA hospital right now. But that is the hardcore reality. And we also see other, we could talk about the pressures such as short-term rentals, what that might mean. But overall, we do know one thing. We're not producing new housing inventory in Nelson County. That's for sure.
So how can Nelson County look like green?
I don't know if we necessarily want to have that much new housing inventory, but we do want to look at it from a holistic standpoint of zoning. We want people to have the ability to go procure a piece of land and then do something with it that's feasible for their...
And to that end, Nelson County is in the midst, they had a meeting on Wednesday night, of updating their zoning ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
And the last time the zoning ordinance was updated, Elvis was alive. Carter was in the White House.
He was in the building.
1977.
Elvis was in the building.
Elvis was in the building.
Yes.
And they're
You
doing...
haven't updated it since 77?
They haven't
Correct.
updated it since 1977.
Wow.
And with regard to whether green wants to look like green, I'm seeing a lot of pushback in all the counties.
Sure.
On growth right now.
That's
often
right.
coming from the newer neighborhoods that don't want anything to change from the time they acquired their property.
Of course, yeah.
Which is always the case. And from a property rights standpoint, I look to the person who's sitting on 100 acres that is situated, or maybe 624, that's situated on US 29 in the middle of Livingston.
That has water on it.
That has water and availability of services. And if
sewer.
only they could
It has
be, and
water,
and
sewer, and it has power,
And there's
too.
a
It's
chance-
crazy,
Who would own that kind of
Who
land?
is
Who
that,
is
Neil?
this? Who is
So
the
so
people
I think,
of Nelson?
I think we probably ought to talk a little bit about what,
Sure.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Jesse?
we can talk about that, yeah. No problem.
We won't go into...
I don't want
any
to say things out of school because I wasn't privy to the actual acquisition, but I think someone at the table was.
I was there. And we as a county, we have been trying to address a myriad of different things. Obviously, zoning is one of our upfront and center things. First we have to do is take care of our current infrastructure of our zoning. What's on paper, what a person can do to procure a piece of land, what rights they have. And you're exactly right. It goes back to the 70s. It needs to get updated.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
When
we have
16
boarding houses still actively in there as a by right use in a lot of places.
And you also have a rather interesting by right use that you in the A1 that it's like kind of this cabin zoning, right? Where you can go ahead and put like one cabin on a 1 acre. If you had like 50 acres, you can go ahead and do it.
Kind of, yeah. There's some dwelling per acreage rights. Yeah,
it's a very unique.
We do a sliding scale as well for our zoning. I don't know what other counties use that, but we're pretty well versed in that. We're addressing that as well. There was some interest in doing 6 acre lot minimum sizes.
That was mentioned.
And of course, I said, well, I guess we don't want anybody to be here.
6 acres is big.
6 acres is a lot, and if you're looking at a median household of $500,000, 6 acres is going to be like 100 of it.
Dude, we have nearly 4.5, and I'm going to tell you right now, that is no joke to maintain.
It's a lot of land.
It is no joke to me. 6 acres is a minimum.
So I
would mean nobody moves to
somebody's
Nelson.
talking. Sorry.
That's what you're saying.
He needs to kick me under the
Yeah,
table.
yeah.
Somebody.
Nobody can afford 6 acres. I mean, yes, there are people who can afford it, but it definitely ain't the local.
Right.
So I think the number you need to focus on is, in my opinion, is less the 500. Other than and the number you need to focus on, you're 20K below than you were at this time.
But wait a minute, before we go too far down this road, we were hearing about this land.
This land, okay, we'll talk about the land.
I was trying to give him an opportunity.
I'm not
He's not letting me out.
letting Jesse out of this.
So
First off, what exactly did Nelson County do?
So Nelson County, we looked at this land. We've actually been looking at purchasing this land way before me. Back to the early 2000s, if not the 90s, the county has been interested in procuring it for a myriad of different reasons, largely centered around job creation. We as a county have a lot of interest in also improving our water and sewer infrastructure. As you know, we're in the media quite often. So trying to look from a holistic standpoint of what does the next, and you can't look at our government in a 10-year context. You have to look at it from a 50. You have to look at how are we getting to the next century for infrastructure. And we do know you need infrastructure. So that this particular property with the other parcel that we have, because we're nearing, if not 1,000 acres, close to, we're going to be
across the street, right?
Yeah, right across the street around the high schools. We want to look at trying to improve our infrastructure along the 29 corridor for water and sewer. Along with that, what can we do to produce good paying jobs in Nelson County? And of course, along with that is the context of is there a play with housing with this? I definitely do also want to do a lot of recreation. Some level of access to a swimming facility, outdoor recreation. I have been a huge fan of sports tourism, and I think a huge complement to our already agro-tourism based economy is sports tourism, because it produces a huge economic event with a lot less of an impact to your area. So, and we already have festivals. We're already accustomed to kind of some of that market. But this particular property is supposed to be a huge catch for infrastructure, for jobs, and see if there may be some opportunity in others. We're going to be having a work session to actually pinpoint what this board wants to do, I think in several weeks. I have to look at when that is, in the September, October. And at that time, our board is going to be sitting down and saying, of these things, what do we actually want to do? How do we want to angle it, and how do we want to approach it?
That is a huge ask.
It is a huge
For
one,
an elected body.
and it is. There's a
Play
lot
developer.
of there's a
Play
lot
developer.
there's a lot of Nelsonians who are interested in this, of course, and they should be. We do know this. We do need infrastructure. We do need to produce something that is not just living off of an agro-tourism economy. We do know all those things.
Well, let's tie this together a little bit with your 15% problem,
Sure.
right?
The drop in sales volume.
We should put that back on screen.
Well, no, the 15% I'm referring to is you're dropping students.
Oh, got it. Oh, yeah.
Well, also sales volume.
Sales volume.
Sales volume. I was going to
Yeah.
say that's all that 15%.
Oh, look at that. It's the same number.
Sorry. No, and that has been a huge problem for basically this entire century. We've gone from 2,000 pupils, I think, at the beginning of the 2000s, and now here we are today, and we're approaching 1,400. And in the next 10 years, we're expecting probably it to hit 1,000.
And how does the demography play into that?
Huge. I think if you were to look at the census of what the median age is, every 10 years, it goes up 10 years. Nelson County, historically, going back to like the 60s, and it's really interesting looking at, since Camille, of course, we come up on a special date recently with the anniversary of
69.
Camille.
Yep.
You had a huge loss in population. One, obviously a lot of folks died, but two, land became worth nothing. Then you had the wintergreen event, and then you had some level of a boom, but we never really have had a population boom at all. As a matter of fact, we're not even near our peak of like 18,
Well, you
19,000.
used to. I mean, when Schuyler,
When Schuyler was pumping, yeah,
when the
thousands of
soapstone
jobs.
company was
Oh,
running,
yeah.
you actually almost had more people in that area than you did down than Charlotte. It was a huge. Population.
It's a huge
over there.
company
So
town.
much so they created their own infrastructure,
They had their own water, sewer, hospital,
and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
But Neil, Green's not immune to this percentage negative, right? You're at roughly, I think, if I got the number from 2016, 17 until now, you're roughly about 12%. That 15% for you is from 2019.
Okay. Wow.
The,
7 years.
the Greene County schools population is probably not in the same place as Nelson in so much as the housing that's coming in is more family friendly.
Yours is going to spike.
Yeah,
the enrollment.
One would think, and quite frankly, the budget piece for that is significant because your schools receive per pupil
From the
funding from the state and from the feds.
Yeah.
And that funding dries up when you don't have the students. Sure.
That's what's happening in Nelson.
Unfortunately, you have to have the teachers. What do you do with those teachers when all of a sudden you don't have the students for the blip? It's the reverse problem than what I was talking to former Supervisor Donna Price about, and she was saying that during the baby boom, they knew that this was a short-term, 5-10 year deal, and they changed school. You went to school in the morning or the afternoon. They doubled their infrastructure capacity by changing the rules of the game. It's a fascinating idea.
How much is Greene expecting to grow in student population? Are they already seeing some of that right now?
I don't believe the numbers have come through yet. As you can see, the Creekside piece is just coming on.
Yeah.
So we'll be getting those numbers September. I generally use those numbers for our local government spending index, which folks can find at freeenterpriseforum.org under the reports tab.
Where?
Good plug.
My hearing aids in. Oh, I don't have them on.
I think.
So I go ahead. I'll shut up.
No, I was just going to say on the pupil piece.
I think everybody's off base.
Everybody's off base. We're also, I think, from when I went to a myriad of Board of Supervisor conferences, and FYI, I'm getting certified to be a Board of Supervisor. It took 2 terms, and I said, I've actually said I'm going to go get certified, and I've actually got to learn,
Jerry has said you're certifiable for some time.
I've never said that. I've never said that.
Thank you. But my point being is when we saw kind of the pupil trends across the Commonwealth, it's down overall. And I don't really have this overarching fear, not even really necessarily fear, speculation. If you build 100 houses, are you going to get 200 kids?
No.
The answer is no.
No.
You might be lucky to get 10 or 15, in my opinion.
No. So I can tell you Creekside, because I've been involved in enough transactions. I also know who's building them and looking at them. The buyer profile over there is me.
Yeah, really.
Sally Jesse Raphael?
Every project that they are looking at in your county, because I'm kind of involved in some of them, every one of them is focusing on the boomer sale. They are not focusing on creating housing for families because right now, the first child right now, per my friend Chad, is up to 31.9 years. People are 31 years before they're having their first child. They're 40 before they're buying their first house. And I can tell you in April they're going to be, I bet you that number is going to go to 42. So they're coming into the market, and the percentage of students that you guys are going to see are going to continue to decrease.
I think so. I mean, I don't think there's any indication from a societal standpoint.
Plus, this is where Jerry's going to jump in, because the people that are coming in are a little bit more well-heeled, and they're sending their kids to private schools.
I mean, our oldest has just started 3rd grade this week at a local private school, and they're on a waiting list.
100%.
For every grade. And it's a deep waiting list, where our youngest is 3 going into pre-K. Is that pre-K 3, pre-K 4? My wife would know that answer. And they're telling us that if you don't sign them up for the transitional kindergarten, the likelihood of you getting into school is not high.
Wow.
I mean, and that's not upselling.
So in my, what was it, former nicotine stain hands? What was it? Who was
Go
the
ahead,
one?
Rush. You're stumbling into the truth.
Stumbling into the truth. So I'm going to throw this on the table.
I do think Greene's enrollment with the public schools will uptick, though.
I will bet you a bottle of bourbon it does not.
Where are you on that?
I believe you will see an uptick, but it will not be double digits.
Yeah.
It'll
change the trend line, is what I'm saying.
Of course it will, right?
Yeah. But it's declining.
But it's not going to make up 12%.
No, it's not going to make it 12%.
But it'll, yeah, of course, right. So one of the things, I'm shocked that you haven't done anything since '77 on your zoning.
I'm not. I mean, that's
Yeah,
not, yeah.
because when did you adopt it? Like '72?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably when it was required, kind of. or
'72
option.
is when it was required, right?
I think wintergreen had a lot to do with it
Right,
as well.
right.
Right.
I think wintergreen coming to existence was a big
So Greene County, and I want you to push back if you don't mind, Neil, because every research I've done is landing on this. Greene County is the only county that requires a fiscal impact analysis when you're doing a rezoning. Nelson doesn't, Louisa doesn't, Fluvanna doesn't, Charlottesville doesn't, Albemarle does that. And just to paraphrase how this works is that if you're going to do a rezoning on that, the developer needs to hire a third party to go ahead and create a fiscal impact analysis that is dictated by the county on how it's going to get done. The developer just pays for it. It's kind of like getting an appraisal done on your house. You pay for the appraisal, but the bank kind of orders it. And there happens to be a project going on in Standardsville that started off at 500, which I've got the analysis for, but it's going to be 400 units. So that report is projecting when it's fully built out of 400 houses, there'll be 134 students.
Wow.
So they will increase,
So 1 in
but
4.
you're not doing 400 kids.
Yeah.
And the reason being is the product type.
Yes and no. The reason being is people are having fewer kids.
It's a fertility.
It's a
And
reality.
later.
And later. But I mean, there's a share of us that have done replacement value. There's a very small share of us that have done greater than replacement value with our kids. I mean, I'm one of 5. That size family isn't seen today.
No.
I did not know that.
I am.
I
I am
am
the
too.
middle finger in the family.
And I knew that. So
But-
you're not the oldest.
But I think our family size is shrinking, and and part of it is because people are going later. And when you think that 60% generally of most localities' budgets is education, K-12 education, and you see that going down
Yeah.
in demand, you may be seeing some different things in budgetary decisions by localities. Would you agree with that?
Oh,
Jesse?
I absolutely agree, and I actually think there's a really great example of that looking at the state's budget this year, watching education shrink and which item increased. Medicare, Medicaid, some of that healthcare related items. Those increased, and as we all know, older demographics usually have some higher needs in the health area. So I think that education piece is going to get thrown into, you're going to see it a lot more in your EMS services. A lot of people think that if you bring in 500 new people, that there's a lot more EMS calls. Well, what demographics are we talking about? If you have a 55 plus, we've actually seen there's some data points in this, like where there is some.
This is the opportunity for me to tell you the story about on the other side of the hill, right? So I have some clients that are looking at doing some projects over there, and had some conversations with the planning folks over there. You know what they're worried about?
What's that?
Having? Not kids, EMS.
Yeah, and I think that's.
They are saying we cannot meet the medical needs of the people that are moving in there because there's this huge. That's on the other side of the hill between Staunton. How do we do this?
Stanton.
From Stanton to Afton is a lot of my age. The retirees are moving into that particular area. Developments are getting done, single family detached, single level,
Yep.
Low steps,
Sounds to me like the problem is you and your friends, not Jesse.
Oh, no,
not me
it's
and
the
my
boom.
friends.
It's 100%.
So I agree with you 100% as it relates to
Finally
that
got
cost.
that sunk in.
The cost is going to be there no matter what. If it's younger demographic, you're going to see it in education. If it's an older demographic, you're going to see it in your EMS and emergency related healthcare
And as
fields.
you target this new land acquisition for recreation,
Sure.
and you're looking at a pool or some sort of thing
Sure.
along with the economic development piece and perhaps housing, what demographic does that serve?
Yeah, and that largely we want that to serve both younger, really everyone. Ideally it's trying to keep our kids, have them have something to do so that they have something extra in their community, as well as our aging demographics that need access to indoor.
So where you're going to go with that is what I'm doing after the show.
Yeah.
by the way, we have to rearrange our lunch. My daughter, youngest daughter's sick. Yonna's taking care of both of the grandkids. I'm going to go after the show pick of grandkids. You know where I'm going?
Where are you going?
I'm going to the pool.
Good.
I'm taking them to the pool.
Yep.
So you're seeing
Yes.
gray hairs taking care of their multi-generational kids, grandchildren, and we're blessed to be able to do it. But that pool will get used for that. Here's the deal about, and we've had this discussion before, and it's a little unfair to ask if Nelson's ever going to be like Greene. Not necessarily from the politics, not necessarily from the zoning, not so. It's just undevelopable.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I mean, the best land that you would want to develop
Is what you now own.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
it's-
literally the
yeah.
only large-scale
Yeah.
parcels,
Yeah.
because there's two of them, that are available that has enough infrastructure to it to get
Sure.
the ball starting. My developer friends and builder friends might not be happy with this, but if you're redoing your things, I'd love you to do a fiscal impact analysis, because it takes the argument. It either makes the argument for no
To do
housing,
something,
or
it does.
it supports
with
it, because it either supports itself or it doesn't.
Absolutely. I agree.
Comments coming in for Neil. This is a good comment. How much of the real estate purchasing is tied to biotechnology and what's going on around Rivanna Station?
That's a great question, and I think we're seeing the leading edge of that now. Interestingly, I've done some sleuthing, and it's my understanding that the actual property of Rivanna Station and the area that's supposed to be AstraZeneca has not yet changed hands. It is still owned by the county, and the rationale for that is that they are still utilizing state grants to make it site ready, and they aren't allowed to use those state grants on publicly held or privately held land. So they have to finish what they're doing with those grants before they can close on the deal. That being said, you are going to see a huge uptick in the next 18 to 24 months of the interest in Greene, Northern Albemarle, even down into Nelson, because those jobs are coming and they're paying. And so what you see now is folks that know they're on their way here, coming for a vacation stay, coming to kind of kick
Feel
the
it out.
tires. I remember when DIA moved down from, it was at Belvoir, I think, and they held open houses. And what were the two questions that everybody asked? Traffic and education.
Yep.
Those are the things people moving here from Northern Virginia were concerned about. Those are the things the folks moving here from elsewhere are coming.
So
Yes,
let's talk traffic.
sure.
We had a wonderful conversation about Long Island. So are they saying the traffic is worse here or better, or they're leaving that area because of the traffic to come here because traffic's better?
Traffic is relative.
There you go. Good
It
question.
is
Good answer.
absolutely relative. I lived 13 miles from my office in Arlington, and it took me an hour to get to work every day before I moved down here. Now I'm 20 minutes. I'm probably 35 miles from my office, and it's a 20-minute drive. If you're in Nelson and you miss the light, your whole schedule's off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you call it that tight.
Yeah.
So it's funny. So I'm not funny, but I've been asked to do the last 100 miles for 9/11. A bunch of New York City firemen has asked me to do that. I was supposed to take the train up. I booked the train, the bike, the whole 9 yards. It was going to work. Yesterday, the train got canceled. I'm now in panic mode.
Yeah.
Because guess what I need to do?
Ride your bike up there?
You got to ride your bike to.
They actually do that, but I'm now going to drive up, and I'm having I had a nightmare about it last night about driving up into that area. So we've got Greene County, Nelson County. We're talking about different housing and stuff like that. You mentioned something about utilities, and I wanted to dig into this report that was done for this project in Standardsville and take a look at it. And there's a number that I don't think a lot of people talk about, right? So Greene County has a connection fee of $22,000. So there's going to be 400 houses, pay
Fifth highest in the state.
Yes. But at the moment, it's $22,000, right? There's 400, that's roughly $9 million come in there. So what's on the table in this particular transaction is the developer is making all the offsite improvements upfront for cash. It's about $4 to $5 million worth of work. That project is going to net the utilities department roughly $5 million, $4 to $5 million, depending on how this shakes out, and improve the system, and finally get you pressure to your high school, which if God forbid you have a fire in it, you can't defend it on that end of it. So they're making, so when you start talking about infrastructure and bringing partners on board, you know, this is necessarily does not need to be all done by
the county.
By the county and the taxpayer.
Correct. No, and I think whatever it is that we want to do this with the expectation of the entity or entities and other grant opportunities to help resolve some of those pieces. The biggest thing that we know as a county you need is a canvas, and this land is the canvas.
So I'm going to ask this question straight up.
Ready.
You're not going to be the developer, right?
I don't think we want Nelson County being the developer at all. I think as we kind of figure out which pieces, we might draw some squares as to what we think.
Squares are
and
good.
which ones we want to
Squares
be
are good.
recreation and
Squares are
where we
good.
want a business to be located. But, you know, beyond.
Good answer, Jessica.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
as
Moving
you're-
D3s and loaders on this side now, I don't think that I eyeball the county.
Oh, God.
So it's interesting, as you're doing a 2 generations worth of zoning rewrite,
Yeah.
you have this idea of rezoning on government-owned land, which every time I've seen that happen, it happens very swiftly because the government is the applicant.
Yeah.
But I think you're
That's assuming they're doing the applicant thing. That may not happen.
that may not
Yeah,
happen.
that might not happen, yeah.
But it may be a public-private partnership.
Could be.
That there's lots of maybes here. But anytime the government owns all the developable land in a county, it does make those of us believing in free markets worry.
It makes you worry?
Always.
Sure. Well, I'm probably the most free market. I'm pretty free market on our board. I do think that to some degree we are also conscious of, you know, parcels of land that could be something not being anything.
You also got to get the math.
Yes.
And that's going to be hard on that property.
I mean, I don't know. I feel pretty optimistic on some. It's
going to be hard.
I think we
It's
can.
it's
we
the
can probably
long
get it.
view.
It's the
It's the long view that pays off in the end.
Correct. And I
The
think
math has to math with a lot of calculus in between the two
There-
sets of numbers.
I mean, the calculus for infrastructure, it almost feels like never works when the government's just trying to figure it out by themselves. So I think some of those things we are already going to have a calculus problem on.
Well, the one thing that we know
Yeah.
is when all is said and done, more will be said than done.
Absolutely. That's like that.
What did you say? My hearing is in.
That's really good.
Yeah. I'm going to steal
I'm
that
gonna
from
steal
you,
that
Williamson.
one.
Would you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I didn't pick
When
that.
all is said and done, more will be said
Than
than
done.
done.
Okay, I read
That's-
your lips. I just wanted you to say it
He
again.
wanted to say it. He wanted to see you talk.
I'll throw this to Neil. He follows this as closely as anybody. Other storylines, regionally, locally, that we should be following.
Ooh, good question.
And then I'll get to some comments that are coming on the feed. That question's from me.
Regionally and locally, there are always things going on that are of interest. Just about every locality around us is considering the 1% sales tax referendum
Yeah.
this year.
a
That
good
will
point.
change the dynamic. Some have said that it shifts the responsibility away from the state regarding education capital funding, which is an interesting position.
How does it not?
Well, the point being, there are demands that aren't being met.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, those who have seen schools in some of the lesser affluent counties,
go to
where I heard on the radio this morning complaints about a brand-new school annex, the academies having delays
ACE.
opening.
ACE.
The ACE academies.
Yeah.
I'm considering other schools that I'm hearing about that have buckets catching rainwater throughout the school. And so I'm more concerned about less affluent counties throughout the Commonwealth. I'm sure Jesse talks to these folks on a regular basis.
Down in Southwest, they can tell you about how the coal mines have to still donate coal to
Right.
heat the schools.
And so
Yeah.
now this referendum will be about capital, and it is limited to 20 years, but it will be interesting to see how each of the localities position it and how many people understand it. That's a storyline that goes across all the localities. Each independent locality has their own fun and exciting storylines. And I think that paying attention to what's going on in your backyard is critically important and becoming more and more difficult in this news desert that is known as Central Virginia.
The news
The
desert.
1% referendum
That's
concerns me, and it is a way to drive capex, I get, for schools, but it's doing so at a time when average Joe and average Jennifer has already got pennies pinched.
Do you think the votes are there?
Historically, educational funding at referendum pass at about a 90 to 95% rate.
Cross-aisle issue.
Yeah.
I think the votes are there, but the votes are there because people don't truly understand what's happening.
Yeah.
They just see good for kids.
and the thing that you also run into.
I also think that you're not. I think it may be different because once you start taking a look into demographics, why the hell am I voting for a referendum? I don't have kids in school.
Or how about a family that's paying for kids that are in private school?
Yeah. I think it might pass, but I don't think it's going to be at that high number.
And it's not 1 cent, which is another
1%.
misconception out there. It's 1%.
It's also important to note,
Up to 1%.
it's also important to note groceries and hygiene items are excluded by the legislation, which is
Yeah.
an interesting point. That makes it a little less
But not
regressive,
fuel.
but every sales tax is a regressive tax.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny. Not funny. We had an office meeting yesterday, and I ordered everything in from Lampo, the takeaway at our offices. So, and I didn't, because of the size of the bill, I just took a look at it.
$200?
A little more.
Yeah.
And the meals tax, because I was going to leave a tip, and I
It's like
looked at
12.9%
I looked at the meals tax.
for meals and sales.
I mean, this is just a pickup, right? This isn't weighted. So I usually kind of do a couple of bucks just as a tip. That was a huge number.
Yeah.
Huge number.
It's what, I mean, what's your take on this?
On the sales tax, yeah. I mean, Nelson County gets hit with the LCI quite astronomically every year. We're about to be,
Local cost index.
Yeah, thank you, sorry.
And
Yeah.
why is that?
Because our assessments have gone up astronomically. It's a very complicated formula that's
And
related
it has
to
something to do with the schools, too,
and it
right?
has a lot to do, and it has to do with the school system. So, having to deal with our state officials and what we've seen, Nelson County is expected to pay the maximum for the standards of quality education budget, which is a whole other thing.
And that's because of your 15%.
And that's
or your
because of our
decrease in students.
it's not just the pupil. The pupil's one thing, but the biggest is the assessment increase.
Right.
That's the bigger piece of the
The state looks at it as an ability to pay.
ability to pay. Correct.
So I've got, next month I'm bringing in Chris Fairchild in because I want to talk about my county.
Yeah.
Because we are on a 2-year rotation, and it's very interesting. They're going to, our prices are dropping right now as we sit today,
Yeah.
right? But they're going to be looking at stuff that was 2 years old, and that last 2 years, it was a substantial jump.
Yeah.
So I see a huge increase
Yeah.
in assessment and a huge pushback.
Yeah.
Because
And
that's not what you're going to be able to sell for your house.
What's happening here in the Nelson context is when we get to the maximum, which we will be in line with like Fairfax and Loudoun and all the other big players, we'll be in the top 12 expectations of the Commonwealth to pay for the standards of quality education, which is a big deal for us because that means every 2 years we're getting $2 million pulled away from our budget.
I remember several years ago, you sitting in that spot,
Yeah.
gloating.
Yeah.
I believe that's the right word.
Gloating.
Gloating
Yeah.
that you had a substantial amount of money left over and you weren't raising taxes.
And
that's changed.
Correct. We do equalize every year, but the problem that we're really starting to see is we're not getting any relief with assessments. Our constituents are watching their assets go up leaps and bounds.
And assessments by state code must
be
fair market value.
Correct.
So if you would do it today, you're at 500,
if we're at $500,000 and we were at what 2 years ago 400.
409 if I remember
409.
the number, yeah.
The next 4 years from now is going to be insane.
Yeah.
And so I have zero
So
trust.
value is dropping,
Correct.
right?
Right.
But your assessments are going to go up
Exactly.
because of that 2-year gap.
Because that 2-year gap. Yep. And that's where the LCI. So Nelson County is going to lose another $2 million.
Why don't
for
you do it
state
yearly?
funding.
I know other than cost.
There's a cost piece. There's also, the political piece. We're trying
Got
to
it.
understand how do you go from 4 to 1. It's going to be a lot easier to figure out 4 to 2.
I hear you.
We've had some considerations on. But the state has zero intention, and it's been indicated to me, to actually address a lot of the LCI impacts. They say it. They have the JLARC study. They act like they have all these new subcommittees, which everyone in government knows a subcommittee is a great way to kill something that you don't want.
It's too easy not to change it.
Exactly. And for them, they have a lot of things outside the blame. You know, geopolitics federally, the Medicare, Medicaid. There's looking at all these other ones. And when they see localities, historically, they love making localities figure it out themselves. It's like some land use stuff, right? Then they get mad when we don't, and then they take our authority away, you know?
Well, you know,
What is that called?
If land use is in local control and it's not working,
Yeah.
maybe we need to fix,
Sure.
not have so much local control.
And the state's been doing that. Like accessory dwelling units is probably one of my favorite ones to talk about, you know?
Yes, in God's backyard.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
yes, in God's
We're running short on time. We can go down that road. ADUs have about this much chance of being successful.
They're too costly.
It is unbelievable. Literally, I'm working with
$350 a foot for 850 square feet. Who's going to afford that? As a supplemental income stream to their mortgage?
Yeah.
Who takes a mortgage against their mortgage to build a 30-year debt? That's what they're doing.
I'm gonna
2017.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you have the, you're a builder.
Yeah.
Well, the only path forward to that,
Yeah.
literally, you probably have the better chance of success in Nelson County for two reasons. One is you got a little bit of space.
Yeah.
Right. Two, you can modularize it.
Correct.
Right. Modular.
And he's an effing builder.
Well, you can't. He can't. If he was to stick build 1,000 square foot, and you correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while.
It's $350 a foot, right? Is it $350 a foot?
Let me get this out. Forget about the number. The cost to build a 2,000 square foot house and a 1,000 square foot house is pretty damn close.
Pretty similar. Without the land, okay, you're what?
Yeah.
Who gets that?
I do.
You don't want to say that on the
No,
show.
I'm not.
But modular works, right?
Yeah.
But that's great in your jurisdictions because, as you know, you got to have space. You got to
Yeah.
be able to get equipment in and out.
You also
it
have
does not work in a confined.
You also have manufactured housing, which is the OG accessory dwelling unit of the last century.
Yeah.
So
That's
you
different.
can get a
Well, they changed the definitions, which made huge difference.
huge difference.
At the federal level.
Yeah.
Which made huge difference. Which
love
means
that.
now you can fund it because you
Fund it
never
a lot
could-
easier. You get rid of the chassis, a whole bunch of
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah, but that's not that difficult.
That's not hard at all.
But it used to be you couldn't get a loan.
No.
They
No.
just would not give
Nope.
it to you because it was a car.
Yep. And lending today is astronomically better for a manufacturer. I think the manufactured housing world has a little bit more of a play for the accessory dwelling unit piece, especially compounded with the state's move on allowing manufactured housing in all places you can build a house. So I think there's some
Once
products
again, the
out there.
state stepping in because localities,
Because localities
didn't do it on their
their
own.
job. Yes, yeah, unfortunately.
Which is unfortunate.
And
Yeah.
I've been part of a national cohort since 2017 on ADUs, put together by Portland State University.
And I've been hearing about them because of you and that national cohort since then, and have seen nothing happen with
and
that.
it's because of cost.
Yeah.
It's literally comes
I had
down
a
to
friend
cost.
do it. He said it checked in at close to $400 a foot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the
If you're
only
s-
reason he was doing it is because he had to because of aging parent.
Well,
And then he did it not for income because they had no other choice.
I built an apartment.
Yeah, you, right?
In my basement. Now we're
Yours is
ADUs
unique.
are two very different
Oh, sure.
dynamics, right? There's internal and there's detached,
Yeah.
right?
A basement
Internals are very different
loft.
thing. But that internal cost me
Yeah.
1,000 square feet. Now it's all ADA compliant. I had to build $50,000 worth of retaining walls just to get things
Yeah.
to go. But I got north of 200K in that. That's just cost for 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we're blessed to be able to do it, and thankful that my parents have a safe
And that's a
place
basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a walkout, and the
Yeah.
retaining walls. It's actually better than in my house that we live in.
That's a fun.
But don't tell my mother that.
Okay.
But and we don't call it a basement. We call it
Garden apartment?
Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
A
love that.
walkout
branding.
garden apartment.
Garden apartment.
And my father goes, "You mean an effing basement?" Yeah, an effing basement. So, gentlemen, back to the new construction end of it, and the rock star that is Greene County in that department. If you pull out all the sales that's happened in Greene County. We've had a 12% bump year over year in new construction. That number drops to 3% because everything else is happening in Greene. You've probably got about another, at least 500, 400 that I know of, another 800 there, probably another 1,000 on top of that, 1,500, something like that in the pipeline.
Yeah, and there are some that are going to be announced sooner that will be adding to that. Green is, and those are by right units that will be coming forward. And I think you're going to continue to see new construction being a viable thing as you see economic development prosper in northern Alabama. You're going to see Greene County becoming more and more attractive to that new economic development.
And that's what's happening. That's where the buyer profile is coming down from the northeast corridor. Are we looking at zoning at Greene County?
Zoning is always, Greene doesn't do comprehensive zoning ordinances. They tend to do particular things at a time, and they are
The state statutory minimum expectation.
They're continuing to find problems and work through them. There is a rather conservative bent, generally speaking, to the Greene County Board right now, and I don't know that they're as eager to make those zoning changes to encourage additional development, but I think that they are eager to get it right.
Well, you have a very unique by right ordinance in our footprint, and I'll leave it at that. It is very unique.
Is
I'm
anything
just
by
curious
right?
they're
So
going to
nothing's
change
by right.
No, that
you have a very unique.
Well, for instance, there's a parcel I'm aware of that is looking to subdivide 2-acre lots, and if you do a certain number of 2-acre lots, you have to put in a state road in order to serve those lots.
Right.
If you go to 10-acre lots, you can do a gravel road. So that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference.
And both are by right options.
Wow. That's pretty.
Well, again, my developer friends won't like this, and I know we want to wrap up here, but if you could do a fiscal impact analysis like Greene does, it is a really excellent tool, and it gives real data for the decision makers to look at.
Yeah.
We should plug, before we close, how we can support the Free Enterprise Forum and Neil Williamson, and then give some closing thoughts to the esteemed Supervisor Rutherford over here.
So Neil, plug away.
FreeEnterpriseForum.org. We go to the meetings you don't want to.
Which is all of them.
That's a tagline right there. That's a great
He's got a
tagline.
lot of
That's a good one, I know.
Which is all of them.
But I encourage you to go there, read our blog post. We have over 1,700 blog posts on the site right now.
That's awesome.
The latest is It's About Time, regarding why a project takes so long to get through the Albemarle County process and how much it costs. We actually ran a calculation, and it's just under $10,000 a month per $1 million of a project. Well, that's a real number. And if something takes 10 months, it's more money than if it takes 6 months. I'm a liberal arts major, but I did know that. The other thing I know is that the Free Enterprise Forum isn't free. We can't do this work without the support of folks like you. And so I ask you to just click on the donate button. You'll be able to donate online, and it's a square thing. It's really important, and I probably treasure the smaller donations more than I do the larger donations, because it means I'm doing right by you as a small business. So we have lots of folks that give to us in the 100 to 1,000 range, just trying to give a chance to sunlight into these meetings, that there are seats available.
Well said. Neil Williamson, President of Free Enterprise Forum. Jesse
Excellent.
Rutherford, then we'll close with Keith.
Well, Neil, I put plug in. I always enjoy what your takes are, and I hope many people will take you to heart and contribute to you. I just want to say it's an honor to be here, to be with Keith. I do make some business decisions based off of what I see. I know. He's usually when I say, "Hey, Keith, do you think this is going to sell?" and he says, "Maybe." I usually say, "Oh boy," but I really enjoy it, Keith. Thank you.
No, you knocked it out of the ballpark.
he crushed it.
In Greene County, you are providing
Oh yeah.
new construction, the right product at
Sure.
the right price.
Hey, first-time home buyers.
100%,
yeah.
knocking it out of the ballpark.
But beyond that, as it relates to the land, the land is going to be a canvas that takes us into the next century. I have full confidence in that. What will be able to be accomplished will outlast multiple generations. That was the purpose of it. That's what it will do.
So I'll ask you,
Ready.
this will be my time to
Ready.
close. But that amount of money, was that taxpayer dollars, or where did that money come from?
That's taxpayer dollars. There's nothing the local government does that doesn't touch a taxpayer dollars. Now, is the mechanism cash temporarily, then finance back, and then we
Yeah,
use interest?
got
That's
Got it.
financing strategy. But everybody should know that it's taxpayers' money.
Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for coming here.
best.
Thank you for doing this. It makes what I do real easy just to sit here and read lips. So I appreciate that, and thank you for not lipping anything obscene my way, so I appreciate it, guys.
That you know of.
So thank you. Have a great weekend. Everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you, guys.
I'll let Jerry close us out.
Keith Smith, Neil Williamson, Jesse Rutherford, and Judah Wickower behind the camera. Real Talk with Keith Smith, archive wherever you get your social media or podcasting content. Thank you for joining us, everybody. So long. Nicely done. He's going to tell us when the mics are off. They should be off right now.